If you ask me this very simple question, what time is it? I can answer at once. But if you ask me what time is, this is when I'll struggle to give you a proper answer. This paradox was raised by Saint Augustine, who drew our attention to the fact that time has two natures in itself. It is precise and vague. We can tell what time is it right now with absolute certainty. I can tell you that it is 12:15 and 34 seconds right now. And yet, I don't know anything about the texture of time. I've been thinking about this for a while now because I feel that as I grow older, time feels as if it flows faster as I grow older. I feel that at some point I got into a river that used to flow very slowly, but as I went further and further across the river, it started flowing faster and faster. This raises a question to all of us, because as we grow older, we try to squeeze every minute and make it all productive. But we sometimes pause and ask ourselves, is speed really saving us time? Or is it only accelerating our decline into blur? Recently, I picked up again this wonderful book that I've read, I think 2-3 years ago. It is a book written by French philosopher Frédéric Gros. It's called A Philosophy of Walking. And there were some passages in it that I thought I would share. Since the book that we are exploring by Frédéric Gros is called A Philosophy of Walking, I thought I would record a portion of this video during my daily walk. And I have to say, I miss those days when, as a child, each day felt like a week, and each week felt like a month, and each month felt like an entire year. And I think that Frédéric Gros explores this paradox with surgical clarity. And he says, the faster we live, the less we truly have of life. Frédéric Gros writes that the illusion of speed is the belief that it saves time. It looks simple at first sight. Finish something in 2 hours instead of 3 and you gain an hour. On paper, this idea sounds very appealing and it makes completely a perfect sense. Less time you spend on something, more time you gain. But Gros says that it is a false arithmetic, and I think you and I can feel it, that this is like a false notion, because life doesn't flow like the clocks and our watches tell us. Each one of us experiences the same hour differently. Life doesn't unfold in identical clock hours. 1 hour of frantic activity is not the same as 1 hour of calm. 1 hour of commute doesn't feel exactly as 1 hour or 10 minutes of meditation. The texture of time depends on how we live it, how we experience it, how we perceive it. And that's the point. We are not accountants of seconds as modern life tries to teach us. We are not tallying units on a spreadsheet. We are more like tenants of time, living in its rooms, and rooms are of course hours and minutes. An hour of haste doesn't add to our lives, it actually subtracts. It subtracts experience. It destroys our attention, our capacity for paying attention. I want to give you this visual example to you. So picture this, you board a high-speed train and you look out of the window, and of course, the high-speed train will shave off some hours of your journey. You are looking out of the window and the world passes by at incredible speed. Some villages and shapes of buildings or mountains and fields pass by at incredible speed. And you cross long distances in a short time. And yet, since train goes fast, you don't see beautiful scenery you pass by. A village that could have unfolded in you in its full beauty actually becomes a blur. You arrive sooner, but you step off dazed. You are unable to recall the fields, the rivers, the mountains you have crossed. You just arrive to your destination with no experience. And this is how I feel that time works, because if we picture the opposite of that example and we picture like that we are boarding a slow train and the villages drift by, a skyline of hills keep us company all afternoon, the landscape and the things that we see out of the window on this slow train get more imbibed, absorbed into our memory. The first journey vanishes like a smoke. The other becomes a part of us. Gros continues and he says that haste and speed accelerate time, which passes more quickly, and 2 hours of hurry shorten a day. Every minute is torn apart by being segmented, stuffed to bursting. I think this stuffed to bursting is perfectly described by short form content when it's one after another bursting, and it accelerates time. This is the paradox. By doing more, we end up with less. Each task splits the minute like a very sharp knife, slicing what could have been a whole into scattered fragments. We end up exhausted but empty, unable to recall what we have done beyond our to-do list. I think we are shortening our lives, not in years, but in the perception of them. The hurried day is a contracted day. Frédéric Gros writes, slowness means cleaving perfectly to time, so closely that the seconds fall one by one, drop by drop, like the steady dripping of a tap on stone. This stretching of time deepens space. Here, the act of slowing down is not laziness, but intimacy with reality. Each moment expands, acquires texture. Walking slowly, for example, through a landscape, and those of you who hike know this, allows it to settle into your memory, to get imprinted on your memory, into your very bones. The mountain ridge, which you see in the morning, becomes your companion by the evening. It gets imprinted into your heart, into your memory. Slowness is not wasted time, as some try to portray it to us. It's recovered presence. It returns us to the full scale of life, which is not measured in efficiency, in productivity, but in density of experience. The best example that I could give is friendships, of course. You do not accelerate intimacy with your friend with speed dating, right? You deepen it by steady, attentive encounters, by long afternoons spent in conversation with a cup of coffee, by the repetition of your presence to that person. Friendships are understood in the same way, by lingering. My favorite contemporary thinker, Christopher Hitchens, in his wonderful short book called Mortality, has a quote that I remember by heart. He says something along the lines that, for me, to remember friendship is to recall those conversations that delved deep into the night and seemed to be a sin to break them off, and made the sacrifice of the following day a trivial one. I found this quote to be so beautiful because it resonates with the best moments of my life, of knowing that it is already 2 a.m., but the conversation, philosophical, deep, emotional, meaningful, is so important that you're experiencing this very conversation at 2 a.m. for the first and the last time of your life. I would like to end on a personal note. We usually imagine time as something strictly linear. An hour is an hour, 60 minutes is 60 minutes for everyone, and it goes and passes at the same speed for everyone. But our experience of time reveals completely another story. Consider food as another example. A beautiful dish becomes larger, richer, more filling the slower we eat it. Every bite expands with savoring the flavors, the textures that the chef put into them, the subtle notes that might have vanished if we had rushed. The more we chew, the more full we feel, not only in our stomachs, but in our senses. Meal savored is a meal multiplied. A life savored is a life multiplied. To rush through an experience is like gulping down a delicious meal. You taste it, yes, but you miss its lingering richness. Listening fully, listening to music fully, makes life wider, deeper, more delicious. Imagine listening to Beethoven's 7th, 9th Symphony, or whichever one you choose. Imagine putting it on very high speed, like twice of the speed of Beethoven's symphony. You will hear it. You will feel the rhythm for it. You might even hear the melody of it. But that doesn't what makes music, isn't it? It's not the full experience. It is listening to it to feel every single note at the right time, at the right moment, in a deep attention that is required. So perhaps this is why time felt infinite in childhood. We used to listen symphonies at the right speed. We used to eat food at the right speed. Each moment was chewed slowly, savored with curiosity of a child. A day stretches like an endless feast when you are a kid. To an adult in a hurry like myself, it shrinks like fast food. So maybe the paradox is this, is that there is no time machine. Time cannot be slowed down in clocks, but it can be thickened in experience.